You feel that line in your bones, even if you've never put it into words. Something happens on the outside. A cold text, a sudden silence, a door closes, a plan collapses, a person you trusted changes, and your mind explodes. You replay the moment. You scan every detail like a detective searching for where you went wrong. You twist the story until you become the villain, the failure, the one who wasn't enough. But Marcus is telling you something brutal. The knife isn't just what happened. The knife is how you hold it in your mind. You're not weak for feeling pain. You're human. What's breaking you is the way you keep feeding the wound with your own thoughts. You turn rejection into a permanent label. You turn disrespect into a lifelong story about being unworthy. You turn one ghosted message into a full narrative that you'll always be abandoned. You, right now, are a mind caught in a storm of its own making. Your body is tired. Your chest is tight. Your brain won't shut up at 2 a.m. But here's the hidden truth. The real battle is not between you and them. It's between you and your interpretation. That's where Stoicism walks in. Not as some cold, emotionless philosophy for statues and quotes on Instagram, but as a living discipline. A way of looking at life where you stop being dragged by every wave and start becoming the calm, deep ocean underneath. You are not here just to feel better. You are here to become someone new. A clear, grounded, stoic mind. A mind that feels deeply, but doesn't shatter easily. A mind that can walk through heartbreak, disrespect, uncertainty, and fear with a quiet, dangerous kind of peace. In this video, you're going to learn 12 stoic lessons that can fix about 93% of the problems that keep you up at night. The anxiety, the overthinking, the fear of being alone, the constant need for validation. The way one comment, one unread message, one bad day can hijack your entire mood. These lessons will not magically erase your problems. They will do something much more powerful. They will change the way you see them. And when your perception changes, your power changes. You'll learn how to separate what you can control from what you cannot. How to stop chasing people and outcomes and start mastering your response. How to stop arguing with reality and start moving with it. How to turn emotional pain into fuel for discipline, clarity, and purpose. If any part of you is tired of being a prisoner in your own head, stay with this. And if you want to grow with a community that thinks like this, consider subscribing and sharing this with someone whose mind is also at war. Right now, type this in the comments as a first small act of reclaiming control. I control my response, not the world. That's your first shift. From victim of circumstances to student of your own mind. Remember the quote we started with. The pain is not just in the event. It's in the story you tell yourself about the event. And that story, you can revoke, rewrite, and reframe. In the next part, we're going to begin with the first powerful stoic lesson that changes everything. Learning radical control over your inner world and releasing the desperate grip on everything outside of you. That's where the real stoic mind is born. You've just seen it clearly. The problem was never only what they did or what happened. It was the storm your mind built around it. That's where your power is. Not in rewriting the past, but in rewriting the way you hold it. Now we start sharpening that power. The first lesson is what I call the law of the circle of control. Imagine your life as a battlefield seen from above. There's a small bright circle in the center. Inside that circle are your thoughts, your choices, your actions, your effort, your standards. Outside that circle are other people, their moods, their loyalty, the economy, the algorithm, the weather, the past, and the future. Most of your suffering comes from standing outside your circle, trying to move things that do not belong to you. Epictetus said it simply. Some things are in our control and others not. That's the foundation of everything. When you beg for closure from someone who has already shown you who they are, you step outside your circle. When you obsess over why they didn't text back, you step outside your circle. When you lie awake trying to control outcomes that exist only in your imagination, you step outside your circle. Practically, this means you start catching yourself. When you notice your mind spinning on something, you ask, is this inside my circle or outside it? If it's outside, you release it like dropping a stone you've been clutching too tight. If it's inside, you act. You send a message. You do the work. You train your mind. You take the walk. You adjust your standards. This is not passive. This is precision. Your affirmation here. I protect my energy by focusing only on what I control. The second lesson is the discipline of emotional distance. Right now, your emotions probably feel like they sit right on your skin. One text and you burn. One comment and you crumble. One memory and your chest tightens. Seneca gives you a key. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Emotional distance is not building a wall and becoming numb. It's stepping half a step back in your own mind and watching the emotion like a wave instead of becoming the wave. Imagine you get ghosted by someone you cared about. Without distance, your mind says, I'm not enough. I'm always abandoned. Something is wrong with me. With distance, you say, there's hurt, there's disappointment. There's a story my mind is trying to create. Let me observe it instead of believing it instantly. In practice, emotional distance looks like pausing before reacting, naming what you feel without judging it, and refusing to make identity statements in your most painful moments. You train yourself to say, I feel rejected right now, instead of I am unlovable. Slowly, the fire cools just enough for you to respond instead of react. Your affirmation here: I feel deeply, but I am not ruled by my feelings. The third lesson is the rule of silent observation. Your mind is noisy. There's commentary on everything. You walk into a room and the inner voice starts. They're judging you. You're awkward. You don't belong. You see someone online living a life you want, and that voice whispers, you're behind. You failed. You're late. Marcus Aurelius practiced something different. He wrote to himself, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. Silent observation is the art of watching your thoughts without instantly believing or engaging them. You scroll. A thought appears. You'll never get there. Instead of arguing or collapsing, you observe silently. There's the thought that I'll never get there. Is it useful? Is it true? Does it help my next action? If not, you let it pass like a cloud. In real life, this looks like taking 10 seconds before you answer a triggering message. It looks like noticing jealousy without letting it poison you. It looks like sitting with anxiety for a moment and saying, I see you. You're not in charge. It is a quiet strength, a calm, steady awareness. Your affirmation here: I am the observer of my thoughts, not their victim. You've now stepped into 3 powerful shifts, focusing on your true circle of control, creating emotional distance, and training silent observation. This is how a restless, anxious mind starts to become a steady, stoic one. In the next part, we'll go even deeper into discipline, discomfort, and how to turn every wound into wisdom. Ignore these truths, and you stay chained to every mood and message. Live them, and you become someone people feel calmer just being around. Up to now, you've started reclaiming the inner battlefield. You've learned to stay inside your circle of control, to step back from emotions instead of drowning in them, and to watch your thoughts without becoming their prisoner. That alone can shift your entire life. But to truly master your mind, you need to go one level deeper, into discomfort, into loss, into the reality that nothing is guaranteed. The next lesson is the law of voluntary discomfort. Most of your modern problems are made worse by one thing: comfort addiction. You reach for your phone when you're anxious. You swipe when you're lonely. You distract yourself when life feels heavy. You avoid anything that feels like friction. But Epictetus says, difficulties show what men are. When you live your whole life trying to avoid discomfort, you never find out what you're made of. Your mind becomes soft. Your tolerance for pain drops. Small problems feel like disasters. Voluntary discomfort means you choose small, controlled difficulties on purpose so that life's big. Unexpected hits don't break you. It might be waking up earlier than you want, taking a cold shower, putting your phone away for a few hours, having a hard conversation instead of running from it. Every time you choose a small discomfort, you send a message to your mind. We can handle more than we think. You raise your threshold. You stop panicking over every minor inconvenience. Your affirmation here: I train my mind by walking toward discomfort, not away from it. The next lesson is the standard over mood principle. You know how it goes. You plan to work out, but your mood isn't right. You plan to study, but you don't feel like it. You want to meditate, but you're restless. Life becomes a pattern of waiting for the right mood. That mood almost never comes, so nothing changes. The Stoics didn't worship moods. They worshiped standards. Marcus Aurelius wrote, at every moment, do what nature requires of you. Not what your mood wants, what your duty, your standard, your highest self requires. In modern terms, this means you decide the kind of person you are, then act from that identity regardless of how you feel. You don't go to the gym because you're motivated. You go because you are a disciplined person. You don't stay calm in conflict because you're in the mood to be zen. You stay calm because you are someone who doesn't let anger control your mouth. Each time you stick to your standard while your mood resists, you build a deeper level of self-respect. You start to trust yourself. Your affirmation here: my standards lead, my moods follow. The next lesson is the acceptance of loss. You've lost people, opportunities, versions of yourself that will never come back. Sometimes you cling to what's gone so tightly that your hands bleed, but you still won't let go. Seneca said, no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Loss is adversity. It is a test, not just of your strength, but of your perspective. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop arguing with reality. That relationship ended. That job slipped away. That version of your life will not happen. You acknowledge it fully, grieve honestly, and then you ask, who can I become now because of this? In practice, this looks like deleting the chat you keep rereading, stopping the endless mental what-if scenes, allowing sadness, but refusing to build your identity around what you lost. Your affirmation here: I release what is gone and grow from what remains. Ignore these truths, you stay fragile, soft, and easily broken by life. Live them, and you become something rare in this noisy world. A calm, resilient presence who doesn't collapse every time the wind changes. In the next part, we'll bring all of this into an emotional crescendo. We'll talk about mortality, purpose, and who you are becoming when you walk this stoic path with intention. Look at how far you've already come in this video. At the beginning, your mind was pure reaction. A battlefield where every message, every memory, every silence could hit you like a bullet. Now, you've started to see the terrain. You know your circle of control. You've stepped back from your emotions. You've watched your thoughts instead of obeying them. You've leaned into discomfort, chosen standards over moods, and started to accept loss without losing yourself. Now it's time to turn this from few ideas into who you are. This is where the Stoic path becomes an identity, not just a coping strategy. Picture your life as a long road at night. For years, you've been walking with your head down, staring only at the cracks in the pavement. Every rejection, every disrespect, every anxious thought has been another crack. No wonder you kept tripping. Stoicism gently takes your chin and lifts your gaze. You see more of the road. You see the sky. You see that, yes, there are cracks, but there is also a path, and you are still on it. Marcus Aurelius gives you one of the most powerful reminders of who you can be. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Notice he doesn't say, you will feel better instantly. He says you will find strength. Strength is identity. Strength is who you are when everything else is stripped away. Up until now, maybe your identity has quietly been things like the one who overthinks, the one who gets left, the one who is never chosen, the one who procrastinates, the one who can't control his anxiety. But your mind is not a prison. It's a forge. Every time you stay inside your circle of control, you're hammering steel. Every time you create emotional distance instead of exploding, you're cooling the blade. Every time you walk toward discomfort and choose standards over mood, you're sharpening the edge. You are not just surviving your emotions. You are becoming the craftsman of your own character. Epictetus puts it this way: men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. That line is a mirror. When something hurts, you can now ask, what view am I taking? What story am I adding? The Stoic mind doesn't deny the pain. It refuses to decorate it with lies about your worth. The battlefield is now inside, but so is the warrior. You no longer chase people who don't value your peace, because your peace is part of your identity. You no longer let one bad day define the whole week, because your standards are part of your identity. You no longer cling to what's gone, because your capacity to adapt is part of your identity. Slowly, the labels fall off. You move from I am broken to I am learning. From I am anxious to I am the observer of my anxiety. From I am lost to I am walking my path, even in the dark. And yes, that path includes storms. There will still be sudden endings, ghosted messages, unexpected bills, loneliness, fear. The Stoic worldview doesn't promise you a life without storms. It offers you something deeper, the chance to become the calm center of the storm, to be the man who can stand in the rain of life and say, I cannot stop the clouds, but I can steady my breath. I can choose my response. I can keep walking. That's the identity shift, from a mind that is always pushed around by outer events, to a mind that is rooted in inner principles, from a life built on impulse, to a life guided by reason, discipline, and perspective. In the final part, we're going to bring everything together. You will get clear marching orders. How to live these Stoic lessons every single day. How to reinforce this new identity. And how to turn your mind into an unshakable ally instead of your worst enemy. Take a second and look at the journey you've just walked through in your mind. You started in the chaos, the late night overthinking, the sting of rejection, the emptiness after ghosting, the constant craving for validation, a mind that felt like a storm you couldn't step out of. Then piece by piece, you started to see clearly. You learned the law of the circle of control, that your power lies in your choices, not in the behavior of others. You practiced emotional distance, feeling deeply without letting feelings define you. You stepped into silent observation, watching thoughts instead of worshiping them. You chose voluntary discomfort to toughen your mind. You put standards above moods. You accepted that loss is part of life, not proof that you're unworthy. You saw that Stoicism is not just a set of quotes. It's a way of moving through the world with a calm, grounded presence. Now you stand here with a new option in front of you. You can go back to your old way of living, letting your phone, your feelings, other people's opinions, and your past run your life. Or you can step fully into this new identity. Seneca gives you a final anchor. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about how much of your pain came from mental movies, scenes that never happened, futures that never arrived, conversations only you heard. Stoicism invites you to stop living in those ghosts and come back to what is real and controllable. So what does this actually look like day to day? It looks like waking up and asking yourself one simple question. What is in my control today? You focus on your actions, your effort, your standards. You don't waste the morning spiraling over someone who didn't reply. You use that energy to build your body, your craft, your character. It looks like catching your thoughts in real time when the old story appears. I'm not enough. I'll always be left. I'll never change. You pause. You remind yourself. That is a thought, not a fact. You respond with action, not more self-attack. It looks like choosing small discomforts on purpose. Training when you don't feel like it. Working when you'd rather scroll. Being honest when it would be easier to stay silent. Every time you do, you add another layer of steel to your mind. It looks like accepting endings without begging. If someone walks out of your life, you allow the grief, but you don't plead with reality to rewind. You say, this hurts, but it will not define me. I will use this to grow sharper, clearer, more grounded. It looks like returning to the present, again and again. Your breath, your body, the task in front of you. You let the mind chatter in the background while you live your life in the foreground. Most importantly, it looks like owning a new identity. You are not just a man who watches Stoic videos. You are a man who practices. A man who doesn't chase every emotion. A man who can sit with discomfort without breaking. A man who respects his own peace enough to protect it. You become the calm in your own story. If this video spoke to you, don't let it end here. Rewatch the parts that hit hardest. Let the ideas sink in, not as motivation, but as principles. Share this with someone whose mind is also tired of being at war. Subscribe if you haven't, and stay close to this kind of content. What you feed your mind shapes who you become. Right now, claim your new identity in the comments. Right? I choose to master my mind, not my circumstances. That's your final affirmation, a decision, not a wish. Because your life will not be fixed by waiting for better people, better luck, or better conditions. It will be changed when you become the person who can walk through chaos with a steady mind and a quiet, unshakable strength. You will still face storms. You will still feel pain. But from this point forward, you are no longer just thrown around by the wind. You are the one who plants his feet, breathes deep, and walks forward anyway.